is Catalina Galvin, and I'll be moderating this session, which is called Fear, Family, and Deportation, the Impacts of Immigration Policies under the New Administration. First, I would like to thank everyone for being here. I think it's very important that we're having this conversation. It hits very close to home, being that my family is undocumented, Latinx, and both my father and grandma have a disability, and I've had to learn to navigate all those types of identities through the undocumented lines in healthcare and just everyday lived experiences. So I'm very excited that we're able to have these panelists here with us to be able to have this conversation so we all can learn from these lived experiences, this knowledge that they're going to be able to provide for us. So our panelists for today is Michelle Garcia, Matthew Weissman, good, Yanira Arias, and Alicia Contras. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to have you introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, my name is Alicia Contras, and I recognize many faces here, which is really nice. My background is on disabilities, and most recently I actually joined, again actually, because this is the second organization that I've been selected to be the director of the Spanish-Speaking Citizens Foundation, which works with Latinos. And there is a complete disconnection between disability. Our best connection is actually that we have the Center for Independent Living office in our building. So Daniel and I actually sometimes can have the little connection between Latinos and disabled, which I think is very lucky, but that was a total accident, right, Daniel?
And I forgot to mention, I forgot to mention that we'll also be allowing for you to ask questions throughout once they give their bios, and I will also be providing questions. So please feel free to raise your hand after they've provided their bios if you have a question related to any one of them.
Hi everybody, thank you all for being here. So my name is Matthew Weissner. I'm an immigration attorney at the Central American Resource Center in San Francisco. At that organization, I provide legal services to immigrants throughout the San Francisco Bay Area from a variety of countries and a variety of casework. While my background is not in disability rights law, we do deal with a lot of overlapping issues with immigrants' rights and disability rights, and so I'm really happy to see this panel today, which encompasses a little bit of both and combines those two really important issues. So thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, my name is Yanira Arias. I was born and raised in El Salvador, and I've been in the United States for the past 17 years under the program that is called Temporary Protected Status, meaning I don't have a permanent status. And I work for Alianza Americas, a national network of immigrant-led organizations. Our purpose of work is to bring together communities here in the U.S., in our countries of origin, to impact local policy at different levels: economic, racial justice, gender justice, and the environment. And why we believe that we need to be present in both region is because whatever policy happens here has an impact in the region and vice versa. And regardless of how long we've been residing in the United States, we do have the right to continue to have a voice in the policy and how the systems are working in our region. And because we didn't migrate because we just wanted, there were push factors that forced us to migrate, and we are very interested in addressing those issues that continue to be present, and the policies in the United States continue to increase those forced routes of migration. And I am very excited to be here joining everyone in the panel.
Hi, my name is Michelle Garcia. I'm the Latino community organizer at Access Living in Chicago. I organize a group of Latinos called Cambiando Vidas, for English, Changing Lives. It's a group, grassroots group of Latinos, undocumented Latinos mainly, who organize within their community to fight for services and rights for people who are undocumented and Latino and disabled, obviously. So I'm glad to be here.
too loud, sorry. Okay, so to get things started, I'll go ahead and ask the first question. And this is because, this question I'm going to ask is really important because as we have a new administration, a lot of things are changing within immigration policy, law, and just a lot of things. So my first question is, what are the new immigration policies under the new administration? How are they being enforced?
So I can start us off with that, and I'm just going to give a quick couple-minute overview of the new administration and their new enforcement policies and sort of what we're seeing on the ground for the Latino community and the broader immigrant community here in the Bay Area. So as many folks are aware, since January 20th, the Trump administration has been implementing its new set of enforcement priorities in the immigration legal field. And our federal government, as many are aware, the executive branch has really wide discretion with how it enforces immigration laws. It does require that Congress appropriate money to do that, but in terms of how those laws are enforced and where they use their discretion, they have broad authority. So since January, on the 25th, the Trump administration published a couple executive orders which set a new set of priorities. Under the former Obama administration, they had prioritized folks who were a danger to the community in DHS view. They had prioritized recent arrivals, and they had prioritized for deportation folks with existing criminal records. The new Trump administration memorandums broadened that substantially. So now we're seeing folks who have not been convicted of crimes being picked up at much higher rates. I'll give you just one or two statistics here. So in the first 100 days under the new administration, there's been an increase in 37% of detainees. So these are folks who are undocumented, and the greatest increase within that group are folks who have not committed any crimes. So right now, while the most common way to end up in ICE custody with Immigration and Customs Enforcement is through the criminal justice system, we're seeing a lot more of collateral arrests and other folks ending up in ICE custody than before. In addition to that, as many folks are probably aware, there was a travel ban that was proposed in January and then blocked by the courts. There's still a stay on that policy, so fortunately that is not being enforced. The memorandums and the executive orders also directed the federal agencies under the Department of Homeland Security to build a wall along our southern border, to increase the use of immigration detention as a means of controlling and deporting individuals from the United States, and orders and directs the agencies to hire more Border Patrol and to hire more Immigration and Customs officials to do the enforcement here within the United States. So the sum of all this is it's a much more hostile administration than we've seen in the past. Fortunately, this does require new congressional appropriations, so if you're going to build a wall, you need money. If you're going to hire thousands more immigration officials, they need to pay for that. So we have not seen all of these things implemented yet. I was looking at it today, we're 10% of the way through the Trump administration as of this week. It feels like a lifetime for me, but this is sort of what we're seeing, and it's not all doom and gloom. Many of you may have seen today that the DACA program, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, so far, which gives work permits to young people who have been in the United States since they were teenagers, gone to school here. That program is not being touched as of yet. So that's a small silver lining in kind of a lot of bad news. So a couple other quick points I want to touch on is the immigration detention system, if you don't mind. So this system that we have set up in the United States, it kind of goes on in the background. A lot of people don't think about it every day. But in fact, there's 41,000 immigrants in the United States any given day, basically incarcerated. A large number of those folks have never committed any crime within the United States, never been convicted of a crime, but for a civil violation of being present without inspection and admission or without documents here in the United States. That adds up to about 400,000 individuals per year. Unfortunately, the conditions in these immigration detention facilities are not optimal. They're overall inadequate, often falling below those of our county jails. They do use county jails to detain immigrants, including in Northern California. So a lot of these facilities have poor, spoiled food, broken phones. They mix high-risk and low-risk detainees, and inadequate medical and psychiatric care. So one of the big points I'm hoping to make today is that there have been 10 suicides this last fiscal year in immigration detention. And I think one rallying point for in our work and among those in this room should be to improve those conditions. They are inadequate, and it's pretty egregious to see that happening. We hear stories, anecdotal evidence of people not having access to their psychiatric meds or other medications that they need. So that's kind of the situation we're seeing now. And with the Trump administration, they plan to increase the use of these detention facilities for both immigrants with criminal records and those without.
Does anybody have any questions for Matthew? Yeah, go ahead.
So I traveled